Need to get a stick, like when Homer gets fat.
Yeah. Push the button stick.
Yeah, it's a broom, and he's like, "Why? And then he gets the little bird.
Yes.
Tick, tick. I would rock a moo though.
Oh. Moo-moos are great.
I'm surprised I haven't got an Woody yet. Like
I have 3.
I have like it's from Kmart like years ago, and it's like a dressing gown but a bit shorter, so it's like a nice big blanket jacket.
Cute.
I love that. And then I got a dressing gown from Best and Less when I was like 15, and I still have it, and it's really fluffy and grey. It's got a little cat on it.
I love that.
Oh, it's just so comfy. And then I was so sad. Comfiest pair of pajamas, and I fucking ripped the pants.
Oh, no.
And now they were matching, so now I just have a top.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, I don't want 2 tops, so now I have to go buy them. And they were so cute. They had Yogi Bear on them. They were lovely. All right. So today we're going to be in Adelaide.
Ooh.
Good old
Radelaide.
Adelaide has a special place in my heart. I used to go there every year. We'd go to Adelaide. And my dad's favourite joke was, how do you spell Glenelg backwards? It's the same forward and backwards.
Glenelg.
Yeah. I was like, hi, yeah, so funny. I got old after like the 8th year. And my recommendation is, if you're in Adelaide or you're going to Adelaide, to go to the Adelaide jail, because we went there. And it's only like, I looked it up on the website last night. I think it was like $17 for a ticket. Like, it's quite cheap. And we went like randomly in March. So it was like a weekday in March. It was us and like 2 other people there. It was no one there during the week. But it's still good. Like, just go. And you get like a little, I have the paper somewhere because I have like a box of like all our little memory stuff. Like, I've got when we went for our first lunch date, we went to Nando's, and I've still got the receipt. And yeah, you get like a self-guided map, and you just kind of walk around at your own pace, and it tells you each, block of, what used to be there, and there's little plaques and everything, like a fucking jail tour. But some of the rooms, they've put mannequins to like...
Yeah.
And it's fucking creepy. And after like the 4th room with a mannequin, I started sending Jay in first. I go, tell me if there's a mannequin in there. Because some of them, I remember one in like one of the first parts you walk in. It's like the old, where the doctor's dentist office used to be in the prison. And there's just a mannequin sitting in there at the doctor's, like with his head, like he's not facing you. You can just see the back of his head. And then there's one where you look like the cell doors close and you look through the little slot and there's a fucking mannequin sitting in there. It's fucking creepy. So like, but it's a good tour, and it shows you like all the bits of the jail and the, plaques everywhere. And
yeah,
there was one part we didn't go into because there was like a school excursion and they were in that part, and we're like, oh, can't be fucked. Oh, there was a party or something. There was kids. I was like, no. Yeah, you can have a party. And
let's have a party at the Radelaide jail.
Yeah. Where would you like your 5th birthday? At the jail.
I want to go to jail.
I want to go to the jail.
That's where my daddy is. My daddy's in jail. Can I have my party in jail?
I would like to go there. But yeah, it's really good. And then you get on the back of the map, there's like a part you walk at the back of it, and there's all like where the prisoners that died there are buried.
Yeah.
I think they're still buried. And then you get a big list on the back of why they were there and who they were, and I think how old they were. And I just remember,
That's cool.
Oh, I should have found it last night because one of them had something to do with a pair of tongs.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh,
we should make a trip to the Radelaide jail. That sounds like fun.
It is really good. And Adelaide, I love Adelaide just in general.
We just picked up our caravan, so we can go for a road
Oh,
trip.
yes. Road trip. Yeah, because we'd go every year. And I remember every year I'd fuck it up. There's the beach house, which is like a time zone, but it's like 3 levels. It's got a water slide. It's got bumper cars. It's got a big carousel. And I remember when we went, me and Jay, it was fucking closed. We went on the only day that it was closed.
Oh, no.
And we're like, what the fuck are we going to do now? They got mini golf and stuff. Like, it's a fun day out. And this is not sponsored, Adelaide, if you'd like to sponsor us.
Yeah, the entirety of Adelaide.
All of Adelaide. And so we ended up at the Adelaide Museum, which was great. Like, we loved it.
I love a good museum.
Oh, I need to show you this. There's like, they get like taxidermy animals.
Yeah.
Some of them I'm
Dead
pretty
shit.
sure.
Love it. All about it.
But
Hence
like
the podcast.
Yeah. And they're like skulls and stuff. And I think it's Adelaide Jail that has, it's either 3 or 4, 3. 3 or 4 floors. And there's a giant like squid that goes, you can see kind of sections of him on each floor.
That's cool.
But some of the taxidermy animals, they kind of just look like roadkill that they'd picked up.
Yeah.
Oh, I found it. Where's the thing about the tongs? Yeah, that's the back of it. So it tells you each thing. Yeah, John Prest was from the 16th of July, 1978, who beat his wife to death with a pair of tongs in Port Adelaide.
Okay.
Yeah, like this one.
That's a dead bird.
That's just a bird someone found on the side of the fucking road. And then I said, this is me when I don't have my glasses on.
Squinty kangaroo.
And then I was like, same buddy, same.
Yeah.
But yeah, and they've got the giant like gem wall.
That's cool.
They've got quite a cool things. And the zoo. The zoo have the pandas, but when we went, the pandas were fucking sleeping. Oh, and Moe's. They have Moe's there. If you ever want a really good fucking hot dog, they're only in like regional, I think like Horsham, and our closest one was Alphington. I think it's Alphington. But there's like a $3 hot dog from a petrol station. They're fucking great.
Oh, yeah.
So Moe's. But apparently there was something with Melbourne and Adelaide, and Melbourne had 7-Eleven and Adelaide had On the Run, and that's why there's heaps of 7-Elevens here and not really there, and they had like a contract pretty much going, you stay in Adelaide, we'll stay in Melbourne.
Yep.
But we've got a few now here. But yeah, great hot dogs.
Love that.
And then we had to check out of our room, but our flight wasn't until like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Sat at a McDonald's and got coffee and macaroons, and we played gin.
Yeah.
Like, we found a packet of cards. We went to this $2 shop, like, because we stay in like Semaphore, and it's so nice. Like, it's just like kind of old school. And we went into this $2 shop, which I swear the same people have been running it since I was like 8. And I went to pay card because like no one has cash anymore. And we just wanted a pack of cards because so we could like, we'd sit on the balcony. It was really nice weather and you just play cards and have a drink and stuff. And yeah, it was like $3 or whatever. And I was like, oh, just card. And she's like, we've got no card, ma'am. I don't know why she was American then. She's from fucking Adelaide. But she called me ma'am. And I was like, oh.
I'm not a ma'am.
So we went to the IGA and they had cards there. I was like, we can't go back there. She called me ma'am. It's very awkward. But yes, we're in Adelaide, Adelaide, Australia today. You probably know this one. It's probably the most... Oh, the Beaumont children were from Adelaide as well, weren't they?
Yeah, they were.
Oh, okay. But one of the most famous Adelaide cases was the body found on Somerton Beach.
Yes.
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 So on the 1st of December 1948 at 6:30am, the police were contacted after the body of a man was discovered on Somerton Park Beach near Glenelg, about 11 kilometres southwest of Adelaide, South Australia. I put in twice that my dad's favourite joke was Glenelg.
How do you spell Glenelg backwards?
Glenelg. It's like mum and dad and race car.
Yes.
The man was found lying in the sand across from the crippled children's home, which was on the corner of the Esplanade and Brickford Terrace. The Somerton Crippled Children's Home ran from 1930...
I'm sorry.
Yes.
What?
That's what it was called, the Somerton Crippled Children's Home.
That's brutal.
That's very of the time.
Yes.
It ran from 1939 to 1976. It initially opened as a home for the aftercare of children suffering from polio, then began to care for children with other disabilities. I think it's called something else now. I'm assuming it's
so.
not called the children. There's one in Essendon, and it's across from the petrol station, and it's a big sign, but when you kind of sit there, the sign just looks like it says like Special Kids Centre. I was like, oh. But yeah, I think there's a few more letters, but every time if you just look at it quickly, it just looks like it says Special Kids Centre. You're like, oh, do better. So the man was found lying on his back with his head resting against the seawall, with his legs extended and his feet crossed. An unlit cigarette was found sitting on the right collar of his coat. A search of his pockets revealed an unused second-class railway ticket from Adelaide to Henley Beach, a bus ticket from the city that may not have been used, a narrow aluminium comb that had been manufactured in the US, and a half-empty packet of juicy fruit chewing gum, an Army Club cigarette packet which contained 7 cigarettes of a different brand, and a quarter-full box of I nearly said Martin Bryan. Bryant and May matches. See how my brain can go with the dyslexia kicked in.
Just a bit.
After the body was discovered, witnesses started coming forward and said that on the night before they had seen an individual resembling the dead man lying on his back in the same spot where the corpse was later found. At around 7 p.m, a jeweller, John Bain Loynes, and his wife went for a stroll on Somerton Beach. As they walked towards Glenelg, they noticed a smartly dressed man lying on the sand, his head propped up against a seawall, and noted that they saw him extend his right arm to its fullest extent and then drop it limply. Another couple who saw him from about 7:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. recounted that they did not see him move during the half an hour in which he was in view, although they did think that he may have changed positions. They commented between themselves that it was odd that he was not reacting to the mosquitoes, and the boyfriend joked, "He must be dead to the world not to notice them." They had assumed that the man had been drunk and passed out on the beach. It's been two now that have very ominous comments about, the last one was like, not having a phone this weekend's not going to kill us, and this guy must be dead to the world not to notice the mosquitoes. One of the witnesses told the police she observed a man looking down at the sleeping man from the top of the steps that led to the beach. Another witness came forward in 1959 and reported to the police that he and 3 others had seen a well-dressed man carrying another man on his shoulders along Somerton Park Beach the night before the body was found. According to the pathologist John Burton Cleland, the man was of Britisher appearance and thought to be aged about 40 to 45. He was described to be in top physical condition. He was about 5'11" with grey eyes, fair to ginger-coloured hair, slightly grey around the temples. He had broad shoulders and a narrow waist, hands and nails that showed no sign of manual labour, big and little toes that met in a wedge shape, like those of a dancer or someone who wore boots with a pointed toe, and pronounced calf muscles consistent with people who regularly wore boots or shoes with a high heel or performed ballet. He was dressed in a white shirt, a red, white and blue tie, brown trousers, socks and shoes, a brown knitted pullover, and fashionable grey and brown double-breasted jacket of reportedly American tailoring.
Yeah, wasn't that from the tag in the jacket or something? They discovered that it was a American-made jacket. Tailored.
Yes.
Yeah.
They find something from that name, the name on there. All labels on his clothes had been removed, and he had no hat, which was unusual for 1948.
Yes.
He also had no wallet. He was
The
clean.
hat is a big problem.
Yes.
The wallet,
No one had money. He was clean-shaven and carried no identification, which led police to believe he may have committed suicide. His dental records were also not able to be matched to any known person. An autopsy was conducted, and the pathologist estimated the time of death at around 2 a.m. on the 1st of December. The autopsy also showed that the man's last meal was a pasty, eaten about 3 or 4 hours before death, but tests failed to reveal any foreign substance in the body. The pathologist Dr. Dwyer concluded, "I am quite convinced the death could not have been natural. The poison, I suggest, was a barbiturate or a soluble hypnotic."
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Good old hypnotic in the 1940s.
Soluble hypnotic.
Other than that, the coroner was unable to reach a conclusion as to the man's identity, cause of death, or whether the man seen alive at Somerton Beach on the evening of November 30th was the same man, as nobody had seen his face at the time. The body was then embalmed on the 10th of December 1948 after the police were unable to get a positive identification. On the 14th of January 1949, staff at the Adelaide railway station discovered an unclaimed brown suitcase with its labels removed, which had been checked into the station cloakroom after 11 a.m. on the 30th of November 1948. It was suspected that the unclaimed suitcase was owned by the man found on the beach. In the case, there was a red checkered dressing gown, a size 7 red felt pair of slippers, fancy, I was thinking it's Hugh Hefner, 4 pairs of underpants, pajamas, shaving items, a light brown pair of trousers with sand in the cuffs, an electrician's screwdriver, a table knife cut down into a short, sharp instrument, a pair of scissors with sharpened points, a small square of zinc thought to have been used as a protective sleeve for the knife and scissors, and a stenciling brush as used by third officers on merchant ships for stenciling cargo. It's a very random, like he's got pajamas and he got some pants, but
Yeah.
there's no socks.
No socks.
Oh, like he's got undies, he's got pants, he's got pajamas and a dressing gown and slippers, and then he's got a screwdriver and a knife and some scissors.
Yeah. Exactly what you need.
Yeah, no shirts. Also in the suitcase was a thread card of Barber brand orange waxed thread of an unusual type, not available in Australia. It was the same as that used to repair the lining in the pocket of the trousers the dead man was wearing. All identification marks on the clothes had been removed, but police found the name T. Keen on a tie and Keen on a laundry bag and Keen on a singlet. That was felt slightly different each time, along with 3 dry cleaning marks.
Maybe he was illiterate.
Maybe. Because, the first 2 Keens are Keane, Keane, and then one was Kean.
Or maybe he just ran out of time to put the E.
Or someone else might have.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I'll just write that on my jacket and they fuck it up. Maybe they could add an E, though. Police believed that whoever removed the clothing tags either overlooked these 3 items or purposely left the Keane tags on the clothes, knowing Keane was not the dead man's name.
Oh, okay.
With wartime rationing still in force, clothing was difficult to acquire at that time. Although it was very common practice to use name tags, it was also common when buying second-hand clothes to remove the tags of the previous owner. I picked up either Logan was wearing a jumper from daycare or his jumper was in his bag. And there was a different name on his tag.
Yeah.
And I was like, who the fuck is writing someone else's name on my kid's jumper? And then I was like, all his daycare clothes are from the op shop. That's probably someone's name that previously owned it.
Yeah.
A search concluded that no T. Keane was missing in any English-speaking country, and a nationwide circulation of the dry cleaning marks also came up with nothing. All that could be garnered from the suitcase was that the front gusset and feather stitching on the coat found in the case indicated it had been manufactured in the United States. The coat had not been imported, indicating the man had been to America or obtained it from someone who had been to America. Police checked incoming train records and believed that the man had arrived at the Adelaide railway station by overnight train from either Melbourne, Sydney or Port Augusta.
Just all of them.
Yeah, just the biggest cities in Australia. They speculated he had showered and shaved at the adjacent city baths before returning to the railway station to purchase a ticket for the 10:50 a.m. train to Henley Beach, which, for whatever reason, he did not board. He immediately checked his suitcase at the station cloakroom before leaving the station and catching a city bus to Glenelg. Pretty sure there's only one tram in Adelaide as well, from the city to Glenelg.
And then back again.
Yeah. Fun times. An inquest into the man's death conducted by coroner Thomas Erskine Cleland commenced a few days following the discovery of the body. He noted that the man's shoes were remarkably clean and appeared to have been recently polished, rather than in the condition expected of a man who had apparently been wandering around Glenelg all day. He had added that this evidence fitted in with the theory that the body may have been brought to Somerton Beach after the man's death, accounting for the lack of evidence of vomiting and convulsions, which are the 2 main reactions to poison. In Glenelg, I think it's different now, but in the middle of Glenelg, there used to be like little sprinklers.
Yeah.
And you could kids would just run
them,
through
yeah.
it and they'd just be like water. All the lights in there, my uncle did because he's an electrician.
Cute.
Yes. Cedric Stanton Hicks, professor of physiology, and pharmacology
Pharmacology.
at the University of Adelaide, testified that variants of a drug he called number 1, and in particular number 2, were extremely toxic in a relatively small oral dose that would be extremely difficult, if not impossible, to identify, even if it had been suspected in the first instance. He gave the coroner a piece of paper with the names of the 2 drugs. The names were not released to the public until the 1980s, as at the time they were quite easily procurable by the ordinary individual from a chemist without the need to give a reason for purchase.
Oh, so they didn't want everyone to know.
Yeah, this small amount will poison someone. And it's just the chemist, just ask for it.
Yeah, just ask for these.
Just like getting Panadol, just grab some. The drugs were later publicly identified as digitalis and Urbane.
What? Digitalis?
Yeah, and
I don't know what the other one is.
Urbane.
Hang on, I'm going to ask Google.
I'm sure I'm close with Urbane.
Oh, it's a glycoside, a poisonous glycoside.
What's a glycoside?
I don't know how to explain it.
Like a poison.
But it's used for like heart stuff.
Ah.
Albane.
Oh, I was close.
You were.
Urbane.
Hang on.
What is it though?
Albane.
Albane. You were close.
Yeah, see? Everybody laughs at old Meg. So they were the 2 drugs that he wasn't allowed to, you could just get from the chemist apparently.
Yeah, I don't think you can just do that anymore.
Probably not. This was the 40s.
Yeah.
Can't do a lot of things we used to in the 40s. Early in the inquiry, the coroner stated, I would be prepared to find that he died from a poison, that the poison was probably a glucoside, and that it was not accidentally administered, but I cannot say whether it was administered by the deceased himself or by a other person. After the inquest, a plaster cast was made of the man's head and shoulders. The lack of success in determining the identity and cause of death of the man had led authorities to call it a unparalleled mystery and believe that the cause of death might never be known. Around the same time as the inquest, a tiny piece of rolled up paper with the words Tamashad,
Hang on there.
just glitching, it's fine. Shad printed on it was found in the pocket sewn within the dead man's trouser pocket. Public library officials were called in to translate the text and identify it as a phrase meaning ended or finished, found on the last page of Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam.
I feel like maybe you need to pick some cases with easier words to pronounce.
Let's see how close I was. I'm going to try that again.
Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam.
Okay.
I was close. Police conducted an Australian-wide search to find a copy of the book that was missing this page, and a photograph of the scrap of paper was also released to the press. Following a public appeal by police, the copy of the Rubaiyat from which the page had been torn was located. A man showed police a 1941 edition of the book. He had not considered that the book might be connected to the case until he had seen an article in the previous day's newspaper. There was some uncertainty about the circumstances under which the book was found. One newspaper article refers to the book being found about a week or 2 before the body was found. The former South Australian police detective Jerry Feltus reports that the book was found just after the man was found on the beach at Somerton. The timing is significant as the man is presumed, based on the suitcase, to have arrived in Adelaide the day before he was found on the beach. If the book was found 1 or 2 weeks before, it suggests that the man had visited previously or had been in Adelaide for a longer period. The man that had turned the book into police said that he had gone for a drive with his brother-in-law in a car he kept parked a few hundred yards from Somerton Beach. The brother-in-law had found a copy of the Rubaiyat lying on the floor by the rear seats.
What is that book?
Oh, I think it says it somewhere.
Okay, I'll wait.
Hold on. Each man had silently assumed it belonged to the other, and the book had sat in the glove compartment ever since, until they saw the newspaper article about the Somerton Man. The theme of the Rubaiyat is that one should live life to the fullest and have no regrets when it ends. The poem's subject led police to theorize that the man had committed suicide by poison, although no other evidence corroborated this theory.
By poison.
By poison. He was poisoned. It's like the fucking doctor from The Simpsons. Poison. The book found was missing the words Tamamudshad on the last page. I really need to pick
What language is it? Latin? I don't know. I made it up.
Arabic? I don't know.
Oh, okay.
And microscopic tests indicated that the piece of paper was from the page torn from that book.
Ooh.
That's pretty cool how they can be like, it matches.
Could they though? Or
The
did they
40s.
just
So it's like, yeah,
say
it looks
that
the
they
same.
did?
In the back of the book were fainted indentations representing 5 lines of text in capital letters. The second line has been struck out, a fact considered significant due to its similarities to the 4th line and the possibility that it represents an error in encryption. I won't read out the lines of letters. I'll post a photo of what it looks like. It's going to be a bit boring, me reading out like A, B, C, X, Y, dash. Initially, the letters were thought to be words in a foreign language before it was realized it was a code. Code experts were called in at the time to decipher the lines, but were unsuccessful. They concluded that the code could only be known by the person who wrote it, and the way they write things down in secret, so it proved to be impossible to decipher. And it'd be hard if you have like a little shorthand that you use that no one
Yeah.
else knows. In 2004, retired detective Jerry Feltus suggested in a Sunday Mail article that the first line, ITTMTSAMSTGAB, could stand for the initials of "It's time to move to South Australia, Mosley Street." I don't know about the fucking other letters, mate. It's time to move to South Australia, Mosley Street. You're still missing TGAB.
Yeah.
The connection to Mosley Street, Australia. Oh, that note to myself. That's the next paragraph. A telephone number was also found in the back of the book belonging to a nurse named Jessica Allen Thompson, there's no P, who lived in Mosley Street, Glenelg, about 400 metres north of the location where the body was found. When she was interviewed by police, Jessica said that she did not know the dead man or why he would have her phone number and choose to visit her suburb on the night of his death. However, she also reported that at some time in late 1948, an unidentified man had attempted to visit her and ask a next-door neighbour about her. In his book on the case, Jerry Feltus stated that when he interviewed Jessica in 2002, he found that she was either being evasive or she did not wish to talk about it. In 1949, Jessica Thompson requested that the police not keep a permanent record of her name or release her details to third parties, as it would be embarrassing and harmful to her reputation to be linked to such a case.
Okay.
Jerry Feltus in 2010 claimed he was given permission by Jessica's family to disclose her name. When she was shown the plaster cast of the dead man by D.S. Lean, Jessica said she could not identify him, but according to Lean, he described her reaction upon seeing the cast as completely taken aback to the point of giving the appearance that she was about to faint. In an interview in an interview, just pictured like an edit and just blah, 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 blah. Oh no.
Save that clip.
In an interview many years later, Paul Lawson, the technician who made the cast and was present when Jessica viewed it, noted that after looking at the bust, she immediately looked away and would not look at it again. Jessica also said that while she was working at Royal North Shore Hospital in Sydney during World War II, she had owned a copy of the Rubaiyat. In 1945, at the Clifton Gardens Hotel in Sydney, she had given it to an Australian Army lieutenant named Alf Boxall. Jessica told police that after the war ended, she had moved to Melbourne and married Prosper Thomas. Imagine your first name being Prosper.
Prosper.
She said that she had received a letter from Alf Boxall and had replied telling him that she was now married. Research suggests that her future husband, Prosper Thomas, was in the process of obtaining a divorce from his first wife in 1949 and that he had not yet married Jessica.
Oh.
But I feel like like if you were dating him and another guy was messaging you, you'd just be like, hey, look, I'm fucking married. Like, stop it.
Especially back in the day, you dated to marry. It was a very quick thing.
And I feel like that's, not catching her out in a lie, but it's like, she'd probably just set it to be like, look, fuck off, I'm married.
Yeah,
leave me alone. As a result of their conversations with Jessica, police suspected that Alf Boxall was the dead man. However, in July 1949, Alf was found in Sydney. And
alive and well.
he was fine. And the final page of his copy of the Rubaiyat was intact and the last page was still there, not ripped up.
Yep.
It was proven to be the copy that Jessica had given him, as there was a small note written to him, signed off by her. A number of possible identifications have been proposed over the years. On the 3rd of December 1948, the day after the Advertiser named him as the likely victim, E.C. Johnson, the real E.C. Johnson identified himself at the police station. He's like,
no,
not me, I'm alive.
Me. I good.
I'm okay. That same day, the news published a photograph of the dead man on its front page, leading to additional calls from members of the public about his possible identity. You'd get so many fucking
idiots.
I think it's Bill. I think it's Greg. I think it's this guy.
I haven't heard from so-and-so in 20 years.
Yeah.
Maybe it's him.
Maybe he looks like that now. By December 4th, police had announced that the man's fingerprints were not on the South Australian police records, forcing them to expand their search Australia-wide. Well, yeah, if you can't find him in Adelaide, branch out a bit.
Yeah, maybe.
In early January 1949, 2 people identified the body as that of 63-year-old former woodcutter Robert Walsh. Robert had left Australia several months earlier to buy sheep in Queensland, but had failed to return home at Christmas as planned.
Did he leave Adelaide, not Australia, to Queensland? Because Queensland is in Australia.
He left Adelaide to go buy sheep in Queensland.
Yeah, I thought so, maybe, perhaps.
Too many A's. A lot. Police were sceptical as Robert may have been too old to be the dead man. Because, they said he was between 40 and 45. Like, this guy's 63.
He could have been a really good-looking 63.
Yeah, it might have been a young 63. Probably an autopsy would tell you a bit more, though.
Yeah, maybe.
However, the police did state that the body was consistent with that of a man who could have been a woodcutter, though the state of the man's hands indicated that he had not cut wood for at least 18 months.
Yeah, okay, sure. We know that.
Any thoughts that a positive identification had been made were quashed when Elizabeth Thompson, one of the people who had earlier positively identified the body as Robert Walsh, retracted her statement after a second viewing of the body where the absence of a particular scar on the body, as well as the size of the dead man's legs, led her to realise the body was not Robert.
Oh, okay.
You'd be like, God, this one's just...
old-timey.
Oh, no, he's missing a scar.
Maybe you should have checked that the first time, love.
Yeah, he's got a really distinct scar.
Yeah.
That'd be like now being like, oh, she has a tattoo. Maybe look for the tattoo on her body.
Yeah.
His body. By early February 1949, there had been 8 different positive identifications of the body, including 2 Darwin men who thought the body was of a friend of theirs, a missing station worker, a worker on a steamship, or a Swedish man. Oh. And I feel like some people would just want to be like sticking their nose in.
Yeah.
Like, oh, no, I think it's Bill. Bill goes to the police station. No, I'm alive.
I mean, not gonna lie, if you could still just like go view bodies, I'd probably go. Just be like, I don't know if perhaps it might be my brother.
Let me check.
I'll have a look. Oh no, my brother's actually 17. That's not him.
No, my brother had a face.
No, my brother didn't have red hair. He was actually bald.
He was blonde. Oh, it's red now. Detectives from Victoria initially believed that the man was from there because of the similarities of the laundry marks to those used by several dry cleaning firms in Melbourne. Following publications of the man's photograph in Victoria, 28 people claimed to know his identity. Like, fuck's sake. Victoria detectives disproved all the claims and said that other investigations indicated it was unlikely that he was from Victoria. I was like, oh, he might be from here. Let's stick our nose in as well. No, he's not from here.
Never mind. Not from here.
Which is funny because from what I remember, he ended up being from Victoria.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh.
I want to say Carlton. I've got Carlton, Coburg and Footscray stuck in my head, so it's one of them.
Well, two of those start with C and make sense.
Yeah.
The other not.
Yeah, I've got
Footscray.
Footscray. Franco Cozza. By November 1953, police announced they had recently received the 251st solution to the identity of the body from members of the public who claimed to have met or known him.
Wow.
That'd be so fucking draining because you have to check each one.
Yep.
Confirm that it's them.
/ not them.
Yeah. No, he's still alive. No, she's buried here. He went over there. Don't know why I keep saying she. It's definitely a man.
Very clearly a man.
In addition to intense public interest in Australia during the late 1940s and early 50s, the case also attracted international attention. South Australian police consulted their counterparts overseas and distributed information about the dead man internationally in an effort to identify him. In the United States, the FBI was unable to match the dead man's fingerprints to prints taken from files of domestic criminals. Scotland Yard was also asked to assist with the case, but could not offer any insights. So they're fucking branching out, not just Adelaide to Victoria. Because it would fucking annoy you. You don't know who he is. You don't know how he died. He just randomly popped up.
Yeah.
It'd be annoying to everyone.
It would drive me crazy.
Oh, yeah. 1949, the body of an unknown man was buried in Adelaide's West Terrace Cemetery, where the Salvation Army conducted the service. The South Australian Grandstand Bookmakers Association paid for the service to save the man from a pauper's burial.
Oh.
That sounds so sad, a pauper's burial.
Yeah.
But then I think of The Princess and the Pauper. Barbie. You're just like me. I'm just like you. Years after the burial, flowers began appearing on the grave.
Oh.
That'd be weird.
Yeah.
Police questioned a woman seen leaving the cemetery, but she claimed she knew nothing of the man. The South Australian Police Historical Society holds a plaster bust which contains strands of the man's hair.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, mate, just take the plaster off me and pluck out some of your hairs.
Yeah.
No, wouldn't hurt him. Any further attempts to identify the body have been hampered by the embalming formaldehyde having destroyed much of the man's DNA.
Yeah.
Surely you'd take, I guess back then you wouldn't.
They wouldn't have thought of it though.
Yeah, but in some cases it's like, oh yeah, we kept on to this random thing because we knew in 20 years you'd be able to test it. And in some cases it's like, they just fuck it all up.
Yeah, we just turfed everything.
Yeah. Other key evidence no longer exists.
You don't say.
Such as the brown suitcase, which was destroyed in 1986. And you'd surely think if a fucking case is unsolved, keep the shit.
You would hope so, but...
If it's 100% solved, sure.
Yeah.
Get rid of it, give it to the family, whatever. But if it's an open, unsolved case, don't get rid of shit.
You would think that would be the case, but you know.
People. In addition, witness statements have disappeared from the police files over the years.
Righto.
There has been persistent speculation that the dead man was a spy. Maybe that's why they got rid of everything.
Maybe.
At least 2 sites relatively close to Adelaide were of interest to spies. The Radium Hill uranium mine and the Woomera Test Range, an Anglo-Australian military research facility. Okay. The man's death was also considered with a reorganisation of Australian Security Agency, which would culminate the following year with the founding of the Australian Security Intelligence Organisation, or ASIO. Dad knew 2 people that worked for ASIO.
Aww.
Yeah, one was a cop, and then he went into ASIO, and then he got severe PTSD.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Then he started selling his medication to
buy
drinks at the pub.
Uh-oh.
This would be following a crackdown on Soviet espionage in Australia. Another theory concerned Alf Boxall, who was reportedly involved in intelligence work during and immediately after World War II. In a 1978 television interview, Stuart Littlemore
Is he a mouse?
he's a mouse that just interviews people. Oh, that's a cute movie. Actually, there's a meme, and it's like all the kids at the orphanage, and they're like, "You picked a fucking mouse over us." So Stuart Littlemore asked, "Mr. Boxall, have you?" Oh, I just licked the microphone again.
Yuck! Stop licking it.
Mr. Boxall, you had been working, hadn't you, in an intelligence unit before you met this young woman, Jessica Harkness. Did you talk to her about all that? Alf just replied, no. When asked if Jessica could have known about his intelligence work, Alf replied, not unless somebody else told her. When Stuart Littlemore suggested in the interview that there may have been an espionage connection to the dead man in Adelaide, Alf replied, it's quite a melodramatic thesis, isn't it?
Anya.
Good one, Alf. So we go back to Jessica Thompson. I keep wanting to put the p. Thompson. So Jessica died in 2007.
Oh,
and her
sorry, Jessica.
Yeah, and her husband Prosper died in 1995. In November 2013, 3 of their relatives gave interviews to the Channel 9 current affairs program 60 Minutes.
Oh.
Oh.
I know that one.
That's, yep. Kate Thompson, the daughter of Jessica and Prosper, said that her mother was interviewed by the police and that her mother had told her she had lied to them.
Oh.
Jessica did know the identification of the Somerton Man, and his identity was also known to a level higher than the police force.
Also, he maybe was a spy.
No, that's Hawaii Five-O again.
I don't even know what song you were going for.
I don't know either. I don't know.
That's Pink Panther.
He was a spy, wasn't he?
Close enough. That'll do.
She suggested that her mother and the Somerton Man may have both have been spies, noting that Jessica taught English to migrants, was interested in communism, and could speak Russian.
Oh.
Although she would not disclose to Kate where she had learnt it or why. Mum was a spy.
Mama was a spy. A Russian spy.
It's pretty, cool.
Yeah. And dangerous.
In March 2009, a University of Adelaide team led by Professor Derek Abbott began an attempt to solve the case through cracking the code and proposing to exhume the body to test for DNA. They observed that the format of the code also appeared to follow the format of Rubaiyat, leading them to theorize that the code was a one-time pad encryption algorithm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Copies of the Rubaiyat, as well as the Talmud and Bible? What's the other Bible?
Which one are you talking about?
I don't know. Talmud.
I don't know.
Oh, what am I thinking of?
I think you're thinking of the
Quran?
Torah.
Oh, yeah, maybe that one. Well, they were all being compared to the code using computers to get a statistical base for the letter frequencies. However, the code's short length meant the investigators would require the exact addition of the book used. The team concluded that it was most likely that each letter was the first letter of a word. An investigation had shown that the Somerton Man's autopsy report of 1948 and 1949 are now missing.
Oh!
And the Bar Smith's library collection of Cleland's notes do not contain anything on the case.
Okay.
That's why it sounded really good that it was a spy theory, but I think it's just maybe a little bit...
People are lazy.
Yeah, a bit of incompetence, just losing things.
Yeah.
A professor of anatomy at the University of Adelaide examined images of the Somerton Man's ears and found that his Simba, the upper ear hollow, is larger than his
Lower ear hollow.
cavum, which is your lower ear hollow. A feature possessed by only 1 to 2% of the Caucasian population. In May 2009, Abbott consulted with dental experts who concluded that the Somerton Man had hypodontia, a rare genetic disorder, of both lateral incisors, a feature present in only 2% of the general population. Your incisors are
Your lateral incisors are the ones next to the two middle teeth.
Yeah, so I think they were pointed.
Ah.
I'm pretty sure. You had these big, the front two ones, and then the ones next to that were like pointed.
So like what your canines are supposed to be.
I think, yeah. So his ears were, I think they called them cauliflower ears.
Oh,
and then his teeth were
also fucked.
Yeah, I was gonna be like unusual, but like distinctive. Like your ears are weird. Your ears are weird. Sorry, there's 1 to 2% of the population that have that. Yeah, they're distinctive. In June 2010, Derek Abbott obtained a photograph of Jessica Simpson.
Jessica Simpson.
And her boots were made for walking. Jessica Thompson's eldest son, Robin. The photograph of Robin clearly showed that he, like the unknown man, had not only the larger Kumba and Kavum.
He had the fucked up ears.
He had the ears and the teeth thing. He
had both of them.
He had both of them.
Okay, so Jessica fucked him.
Wow. The chance that this was a coincidence has been estimated as between 1 in 10 million and 1 in 20 million.
Okay, so Somerton Man is his daddy. Is essentially what they're saying.
Well, it's just very
unlikely.
Yeah, well, it says the media have suggested that Robin Thompson, who was 16 months old in 1948 and died in 2009, may have been the child of the Somerton Man and Jessica and passed off as Prosper Thomas's son.
Ah.
Which would be like, it does make sense if, they got the same teeth, they got the same ears.
Yeah.
He's gone to Adelaide with her phone number.
Yeah.
And she's acting weird, apparently, that she doesn't know him.
It's just that she was knocked up and probably didn't tell Prosper that it wasn't his kid.
Yeah, well, back in those days, you could be like, yeah, it's yours.
So there probably was a lot of panic of like, fuck, if he turns up here looking for his kid and Prosper finds out, I'm in big trouble.
Well, yeah, Prosper, he was still alive. He died in 1995. This is a 1948.
Yeah.
DNA testing would confirm or eliminate this speculation. Derek Abbott believes an exhumation and DNA test could link the Somerton Man to a short list of surnames, which, along with existing clues to the man's identity, would be the final piece of the puzzle. After discovering that Robin Thompson had died in 2009, Derek contacted Rachel, the daughter of Roma Egan and Robin Thompson, so Robin's daughter. Rachel, who was the daughter of Robin, and Derek, who was he was a professor at the University of Adelaide.
Oh, yes.
So he was a professor that wanted to look into the case. She was the daughter of Robin. They got married in 2010 and had 3 children.
Aww.
And the family has a painting of the Somerton Man hanging in their home, believing him to be family.
Aww.
It's quite cute, isn't it? However, Rachel, whose DNA has been analysed and links were found to the grandparents of Prosper Thomas. So they're her great-grandparents. As you can see the lineage.
Yes.
But yeah, I thought that was cute that they got married.
Yeah.
In October 2011, as interest in the case resurfaced, Attorney General John Rowell refused to examine the body, stating, "There needs to be public interest reasons that go well beyond public curiosity or broad scientific interest."
Yep.
DNA testing. In October 2019, however, Attorney General Vicky Chapman granted approval for his body to be exhumed and extract DNA for analysis. An exhumation was carried out on the 19th of May, 2021. Police stated that the remains were in reasonable condition and were very optimistic that about the prospect of DNA recovery. Dr. Anne Coxon of Forensic Science South Australia said, "The technology available to us now is clearly light years ahead of the techniques available when the body was discovered in the late 1940s, and that the test would use every method at our disposal to try and bring closure to this enduring mystery." While much of the DNA is degraded, the University of Adelaide team obtained a high-definition analysis of the mitochondrial DNA from the hair samples from the Somerton Man. They found that Somerton Man belonged to the haplogroup H4A1A1A, possessed by only 1% of Europeans.
Okay.
So if you're a part of that group of H4A1A1A. On the 26th of July 2022, Derek Abbott announced that he and
Genealogist?
genealogist, not gynecologist,
Colleen?
Colleen Fitzpatrick, had determined that the man was Carl Charles Webb, an electrical engineer and instrument maker, born on the 16th of November 1905 in Footscray.
Oh.
Don't know what
A
the other two.
Footscray.
Footscray. Through investigative genetic genealogy, matches were found for descendants of two distant cousins of Carl Webb, both on the paternal and maternal side. None of Carl Webb's still living relatives None of Carl Webb's still living relatives in 2022 had known him in person. Initially, there was no known pre-death photographs of Carl, but further investigation uncovered his likely presence in a 1921 Swinburne University football team photograph, and in November 2022, Australian Story revealed photographs of Carl from the 1920s found in a Webb family photo album.
Aww.
Earlier, the ABC had published photos of Carl's brother Roy Webb, claiming they resembled the Somerton Man. Forensic Science South Australia, who was still investigating, declined to comment on Derek Abbott's findings, and the South Australian Police have not verified the results, but stated they were continuously optimistic that this may provide a breakthrough. So Carl Webb's father was Richard August Webb, and he had immigrated to Australia from Hamburg, Germany, which is why he's got his European thing.
Yeah.
Britisher? Does that just mean like the Europe? But I feel like UK and Europe are different, very different.
Yeah.
He married Eliza Amelia Morris Grace.
Aww.
That's a lot of names. In 1892, and they opened a bakery in Springvale, Victoria.
Aww.
Carl Charles Webb was born on the 16th of November 1905 in Footscray and was the youngest of 6 children.
Wow.
That's a lot of kids. The 3 sons would eventually work at the family bakery, and when the bakery closed down, Carl retrained as a electrical instrument maker. In 1941, he married Dorothy Robertson, a pharmacist and podiatrist, and the couple moved into a flat in Bromby Street, South Yarra. The marriage was not a harmonious one, largely due to Carl's personality. Dorothy described Carl as solitary, having few friends, living a quiet life, and being in bed by 7 p.m. each night. That sounds like me. But also moody, violent, and threatening, especially when facing defeat over relatively trivial matters. Dorothy stated that he was fond of poetry and wrote several poems of his own, most of them on the subject of death, which he claims to be his greatest desire.
Oh, okay.
That's not... Aim high.
Awkward.
Yeah. Dorothy recalled one instance in March 1946 in which her husband apparently attempted suicide with an overdose of ether. She nursed him back to health only for him to scold her for it and became more violent.
Oh.
Rude. In September 1946, Dorothy fled from her husband following years of physical and verbal abuse. Carl moved out in 1947 and no official records revealed his subsequent whereabouts have been found as of 2022. In 1951, Dorothy reportedly lived in Boot, South Australia. Derek Abbott speculates that Carl may have gone to Adelaide intending to find her. Carl's older sister, Frida Grace, was married to Thomas Gerald Keane.
Oh.
They had a son named John, who died in World War II in 1943. John's possessions included items which implied he resided in the United States at some point, such as American coins and a map of Chicago. Frida and Carl lived 20 minutes drive away from each other, and this would explain why he was wearing American origin clothes that had the name Keane on them. when they could have been handed down to him from his brother-in-law or nephew. Dad, that's a nice little
little tied bow around the case.
Because when they were like, oh, it's this guy, blah blah, and I was like, oh, and then when they said that, I'm like,
okay, made sense.
It fits perfectly that his brother-in-law and his nephew have that fucking name.
Yeah,
and they've been to America, and it just makes sense.
Yeah.
Derek Abbott and Colleen Fitzpatrick believe that Carl had serious mental issues and spiraled down after losing 4 close relatives in 7 years. His history and the autopsy findings suggest that he died by suicide by poisoning himself.
Yeah, I reckon.
It makes sense. Like, no one's ever come forward and been like, oh yeah, my uncle fucking did it.
Yeah, also, his wife left from physical abuse, so it makes sense why no one bothered to say, I haven't seen Carl in ages.
Yeah, and he just kind of dropped off after a few years and they didn't know where he was.
So it kind of makes sense why it was just never solved. Because it's not like people were looking for him.
Yeah, that's not, but he's like one of 6. Like, surely, but then like Dad had a brother that they hadn't talked to him since he was 18 and they all died in their 60s without
knowing.
Same state.
Yeah.
But just never reached out to each other. Carolyn Billsborough, a filmmaker and director of the documentary Missing Pieces about the Somerton Man, said that the news of his identity being discovered was incredibly exciting. She said, "We knew this day was going to come at some point. We had all these grandiose ideas about him being Russian, American, and European. I was convinced that he was from Europe, maybe a displaced person after the Second World War who was here alone. But to find out he's Australian from Victoria and that he died and no one obviously noticed he was missing or no one followed up with the police that he was missing, I find that particularly kind of tragic." Which is a bit sad. Like, you go missing and no one knows. Yeah, that one was for fucking ages unsolved. That one, I don't know. I think because, like, I go to Adelaide so much and, like, I've got family in Adelaide, it was just, like, a very... Because we go to Glenelg.
Yeah.
It was very, like...
Prominent in your mind?
Yeah, like, close to the heart. And then when it got solved, I was like, oh...
I was so shocked when it finally got solved. I just assumed that was going to be one of those ones that's just never solved. Like the body in the dunes.
Yeah.
One. Or
the Beaumont children.
The Beaumont children.
Yeah.
Like, we're just never going to fucking know. But finally it was solved. And he just sort of...
And was from Victoria.
Yeah. And he went a little cuckoo and just offed himself.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think his brother died and then... His wife left him and then said, like, 4 people in his life had died.
Yeah.
Like, that'd be fucking hard. Like, I had 2 uncles die in 24 hours and that was hard. Imagine 4 of your closest people and your wife leaves and this and that. Fun times.
Yeah.
They used to have, I don't think it's there anymore, but it was an escape room in Rundle Mall in Adelaide. And it was called Spy on the Beach. And its little blurb was... the description for the room was, an unknown man was discovered on Somerton Beach at dawn on the 1st of December 1948. There are whispers that the man was a Russian spy and that he had been murdered. The Russian police are due in Adelaide in 1 hour and may destroy critical evidence. Can you discover the identity of this man and what happened to him? And I hadn't heard this case before. This is before I got into true crime.
Yeah.
And looking back on it, once I've researched this, I was like, fuck, they did that escape room so well.
Yeah.
Like, it was so... You walked in. This was like fucking nearly... It was 2017. And you walked in, it was a beach. And you had a suit laying on the ground. And then you had 3, like, beach hut doors. And I remember you had to go through the pockets and there was, like, shells and stuff. And, you know, they opened the first door. And then you got a key. The second door had something. And then the third door. And once you go into the second room... It was a bedroom, which I'm assuming was meant to be Jessica's bedroom.
Yeah. Yep.
And you had to put things from her room on the bookshelf in a certain outline.
Yep.
And then the bookshelf opened.
Ooh.
And then the third room was like his Russian spy bunker with like things on the wall with red tape. And eventually, to get out, the last door opened and there was a projector on the first wall. Like, you kind of did a big circle. And you had to figure out things, and then you got out, and it was really good. Love a good escape room.
Escape rooms are cool.
I've done like...
I suck at them, but they're cool.
I think I've done like 25 escape rooms.
I've only done one, and I was very heavily pregnant, but everyone else we were with was really drunk.
What one did you do?
I don't even remember. It was some space themed one.
Oh.
We had a massive group of people, so we had to go to one that was like had space for 15 people, but they were like, there was only one of us that had ever done an escape room before, but it was like the hardest level escape room ever. So we definitely got nowhere, and there was lots of arguing. Everyone else had been drinking.
Oh no, I feel like that there's too many people. Like I feel like 3 or 4 is good.
Yeah, I think so too.
We did. Me and my ex did all 3 in Adelaide in one day. We did
Nice.
the first one. It was Somerton Man was the second one. There was like a wine. Something about a winery, murder at the winery or something was the first one. And then we went across the road at Rundle Mall into like, I think it's a Richmond hotel, and had lunch, and you could see it. And I go, fuck, that was really good. Do you want to do the second one? And we rang him, and we were like, oh, we're just in there. Like it was dead. Like,
Yeah.
Because we go when it's not school holidays or anything.
Yeah.
And I go, oh, we're just in there doing the escape room. He goes, do you have like a second one? He goes, oh, yeah, about an hour. And we're like, oh, cool. We're across the road having lunch. Went back, did the Somerton Man one. And then we finished that one and went,
Do you have another?
I'm like, what about the third room? And he's like, are you fucking serious? And I was like, yeah, fuck it. That hurt my brain. And it was kind of creepy. Like there was doll heads and shit.
Oh.
We did one in the city, and we're meant to do, I think it was like an art gallery heist kind of theme.
Yep.
But the staff had locked the keys to the room in the room.
Oh.
And they're like, oh, we can't actually get in. I was like, oh, fuck. Yeah, and so we couldn't get in. And they go, oh, we've got another room like available. Oh, no, sorry. The room we're meant to do was called Room 13. And it was like a spooky one. And I was already like real anxious about it because I hate like whoever I'm with, I'll make them do some of the shit.
Yeah.
I'll be like, you go in first. I don't want to get scared. And that was, they locked the keys in the room. And so they go, oh, we've got, it was pretty much a Saw themed.
Oh, yeah.
And there was a fucking strobe light. There was fake body parts. I was so scared.
That's awesome.
And it was about 10 minutes in. And I'm like, I can't, like, I remember there was like, it was very overwhelming because of the light. And then the next room we got into, it looked like a big industrial freezer. And I was like, I don't want to know what's behind there. And the guy came in probably like 10 minutes and he goes, oh, like we've opened the room. Do you want to do the original one? I'm like, yeah, get me the fuck out of here. That one was fucking scarier. Because you came in and there was like a hall. You meant to come up an elevator and into the hallway of the hotel. And then you got to get into the room 13. And at one point you do something with the switchboard, which turns the lights off and makes a phone ring at the other end of the hallway.
Oh.
And when you pick up the phone, a picture falls off the wall. I was like, fuck this. So I was so anxious that I'd stood in the hallway where I could see everything in the corner. And my ex went into the room and he was starting to look for clues. And then he goes, oh, come look at this one. And I'm like, fuck, what? And it had like a picture and it was meant to be like this little girl that was getting haunted by the thing in the hotel.
Yeah.
And the kid's picture was like, oh, I met my friend in the hallway. And I'm like, I'm out of this fucking hallway. And then something else happened and like a manhole fell down and a skeleton came. There was so many like jump scares in it that I'm like, fuck, I can't do this anymore.
I want to do that.
I'm pretty sure it's in the city. But yeah, we've done so many. There's one in Flemington that's really good as well. It's in the backyard of someone's house.
Wow.
But it's really good. And then he goes, oh, have you done escape rooms? Like, have you done escape rooms before? I go, oh, yeah, I've done quite a few. He goes, oh, what's your favourite? And there's ones in Oakley. Like, I haven't done them in years, so I don't know if they're still the same. And I go, the ones in Oakley are really good. And he just starts laughing at me. I'm like, what the fuck are you laughing at me? He goes, oh, I own them. I was like, oh, cool. So this one's going to be good. And it's literally in the backyard of his house. And I had good reviews. I'm like, well, if he's murdering people, there's going to be no reviews. So
yeah, true.
And it was good, like, first time one. I took, like, my ex's mum and his sister. It was, like, her Mother's Day present, and we did that.
Cute.
But yeah, I haven't done escape room in ages. We should find some true crime ones.
Yeah.
We'll make an escape room.
I'm not good at that.
Disorganized Detectives escape room.
It'll be very
It's
disorganized.
just chaos.
You won't get out because we'll have forgot half the
Yeah.
shit.
Oh, there's meant to be a key for that.
Oh, sorry. Fuck, I forgot. Forgot to put the clues in.
You're just locked in a room. Goodbye. But yeah, that was Somerton Man, which I'm glad has a conclusion.
Especially after last week's with no conclusion.
Yes. That was
Or if whatever order you're putting them in. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we go in order.
Last week's?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Because it makes sense because if we reference.
Yeah.
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 Yes. Well, yeah, you can follow us on Instagram and you can email us.
Yeah, email us.
And you can
Buy us a coffee.
buy us a coffee. 'Cause
We
my
also
brain's
have
not
a
working.
TikTok too, don't we?
Yes, we have a TikTok. I need to get back on that one. We also put our audio on YouTube.
Do we?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, there's a YouTube. I think it's like 3 subscribers or something.
Awesome.
One of them's me.
Well, maybe there'll be 4 because I'll have to find it.
Because like people listen on different platforms. Like you got
Yeah,
Spotify,
yeah.
you got Apple, you got Podbean,
Yeah, yep.
and then oh, my baby's sleeping. Yeah, so all some people watch YouTube and like have it. And,
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you for listening. You will hear us next week when we go to back to America. We're just flip flopping back to America, Australia, America, Australia.
Why not? Super fun.
Yeah. So
Before we go to America, I'm going to go to the bathroom.
yes, I need to pee too.
Yep.
All right. Goodbye.
Bye.